Hello and welcome to the OnlyBets Sports Podcast here for your Tuesday. Very excited to get into it. Yeah, lots of things to get into. Starting to get into my MLB futures and plays, so that's going to be fun to break down. First, let me bring in my main man, DrewDelucci. How you doing, man? How you doing? I said man too many times. How you doing?
Oh, you're good, doing good. Uh, yeah, doing pretty good. The bet I gave out necessarily hit, but we talked about stuff in our chat that did pretty well. Of course, we'll get to it, but some devastating news for the Warriors, even after a win. That feels like a loss, but yeah, overall good.
All right, yeah. You have any reactions to yesterday? I know Louisville didn't cover their spread. That seemed like a lot going into the last quarter there, but kind of blew it up. Any reactions to that or anything else that happened yesterday?
Yeah, so one of the, of course, women's basketball, I believe it's the first couple rounds they do home court advantage, which is one of the reasons I do it. Of course, it was one of those where Alabama shot way better from three. They're like the men's team than they usually do. I think they shot like 50% from three, which is very unexpected. They're a good shooting team, but of course not that good. I think if it wasn't for that, Louisville probably covers. There was a portion they were up seven in the fourth quarter, and then Alabama, I think Ace Austin kept making threes for Alabama. But I watched some other women's college basketball. Something I did decide to take like right before the game was UConn minus 37.5. They won by 50 something. That was absolutely like this team is going to beat everybody. Like it was crazy because they were up, I believe it was 52 at halftime. And then they won around that much. I can tell they're easing off, but apparently the Syracuse players, they were crying in the locker room and you could see tears in their eyes coming out of halftime. And but shout out to the Syracuse players. They fought. They were down 65-12 at half. This UConn team is great. I know South Carolina is a good team. I know UCLA is a good team because we saw South Carolina demolish USC. In that regard. And then of course we also witnessed UCLA, they didn't demolish Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State actually did cover, but no one's beating this UConn women's team. They're just too deep. They're too fast, too physical. And I just don't see how anybody even has a chance of beating them, especially when AZ Fudd plays like that. It's amazing to see AZ Fudd playing like this because people forget. Yes, last year was like one of her first healthy seasons because she was hurt like her first like couple of years, her first few years because she has another year eligibility because of that. And she, I think, missed like one or two shots, and she had like 30 plus points through three quarters. So shout out to her for having her last home game yesterday.
Wow, yeah, and I'm looking at the futures for the women's NCAA bracket here. UConn is favored by minus 255 right now to win it all. Is that a number that is attractive to you, or is that something that we should parlay with something? Maybe we missed out on the best number. It was probably closer to even money at the beginning of the tournament, but
So it
do
was
you still
actually
see value
minus.
here?
It was actually minus beginning of the tournament. I think it was like minus 260.
Oh, wow, so
Yeah.
it's gotten better somehow. It seems like
So one of the
UCLA and
reasons
Texas
is
are, yeah.
I think one of the reasons is, of course, sorry to interrupt, is because how good South Carolina is starting to look now, and also I know UCLA they've done like a little better, so I think South Carolina demolishing USC like that kind of helped the number in a way because they think, hey, if South Carolina can possibly face UConn, but again, this UConn team hasn't lost a game yet. They've had one game decided by single digits, and that was against Michigan. Michigan's another underrated team. They're not like talked about as much, but they play teams very close. But the fact that it's crazy. The fact that what was it? The last six games now, UConn has won by 35 plus points each game. So this team is crazy, but it is a good parlay piece. If you guys want better like value, if you just want like a dark horse, I would say kind of team that you would want to bet besides UConn. It wouldn't necessarily be UCLA at plus 500 or Texas at plus 750. I would say South Carolina at plus 800 just because their pedigree. But I would personally recommend parlaying UConn. You can parlay UConn with like, I mean, not UConn. Yeah, UConn with anything that you would want. Personally, I can look for ones to do that with, but minus 260 is a
Yeah,
good parlay piece.
yeah, let's do it. Honestly, I have a play here, but it's in the men's tournament, and that's going to be taking Michigan with the points. I like them to beat Alabama. I think Alabama's been a little bit shaky. Michigan, as we've talked about, is probably the best team out there, or has the ability to be the best team out there. So I think it's -7.5 is where I got it, and I absolutely love it at that number. Do you have any thoughts on that game or any of the other games going on?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah. Let me see real quick. Oh, this game would be on Friday, right? Yeah. Yeah, because I
Minus
see
nine and a half.
nine and
That's
a
what I took
half.
it at.
Yeah, 9.5. I think it opened at like 10.5 or something, which it dropped down, which is good. The thing about Alabama, they really did impress me. Even in their first round game against Hofstra, like when even when we went down, they just kept speeding up. Honestly, Alabama actually has some size to match with Michigan, especially in the power forward and front, like the overall front court position. The thing where they will lack size is their shooting guards. In that regard, especially, but without Aiden Holloway, I know because he got busted, they're a little bit bigger of a team because they have Mari Allen. Of course, LeBaron Philon is a beast. Sherrell of the front court is one of the best shot blockers. So I think this is going to be a very fun game to watch. But I would definitely pick Michigan to cover this if I had to pick a side. But I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama keeps it close if they're hitting their threes. And they love to run like Michigan. They're basically a bigger version of St. Louis of how they play, if that makes sense.
All right, so not a play yet. It sounds like I'll have to look more into it. Is this one of those games though that either team can go up by 10 quickly? Like those
Yes.
FanDuel boosts. So just bet either side. I guess the underdog, I would bet Alabama to lead by to basically their money line. And if they lead by 10, you would cash this. Is that something that you would look at?
Yeah, it's something definitely we'll look at because Alabama is one of those teams they can go by they can go down by 10 or they can go up by 10. And if they go down by 10, they have the very much capability to come back, or they can keep getting blown out because they're not hitting their shots. But they're a team that is very capable of coming back from any deficit. But I think Michigan is one of those teams that can stop teams from coming back as well.
Yeah, yeah, they do have that tendency to play lockdown defense when they choose to.
Yeah,
Not always.
I notice that.
All right. Any other games that you're looking at before we head into the NBA?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I know you mentioned the NIT yesterday. I think the line dropped at
Yes,
10 and a
St.
half.
Joe's. We got
Yep.
St. Joe's here. I have an official play here at plus 11.5 for a half a unit.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to actually watching that game. I believe the game's at 9 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Uh, you know what? Like, even though it's at the pit, it's in New Mexico. Um, I'm of course personally not going to touch it on my side, but I can the way St. Joe's has been playing, I've been very impressed. I think they can keep it close. The key for St. Joe's is don't let the crowd noise affect them, and don't get swallowed by the pit, as people would say. Keep playing your game. Don't try to play New Mexico's game. So that'd be my advice for that game. I might have something in the Wichita State Tulsa game, but that was my takeaway for the St. Joe's.
Yeah, and like we said, it is a very tough road environment for St. Joe's to work through, but values on the number, the model likes it, I like it. So again, just a half a unit, a little bit more than just a sprinkle, but it is a play that I am playing. Double digits is a little bit too much here. Do expect New Mexico to win, but I don't know, by 5, 6, 2, 3 possessions, not 4 or 5. All right, all right. Anything else
Yeah.
in NCAA before we get on?
Yeah, so Wichita State versus Tulsa is a very interesting spread because Wichita State has looked really good this NIT tournament. Tulsa as well. We just saw Wichita State demolish Oklahoma State, which was very impressive, regardless of the people that weren't playing for Oklahoma State. Tulsa had that overtime game against Stephen F. Austin, and then they beat UNLV, which was impressive. And the last time these teams played, Wichita State beat them in the AAC tournament, and Tulsa is home this game, so I see the line is at 3.5 right now. So I was tempted to either take Tulsa's 3.5 or their halftime full time because I can see a big revenge game here for Tulsa, and it seems like Tulsa cares about this game a lot. So, but overall. I'm looking at like the Thursday games. No official plays yet for the Thursday games. I'll probably have them tomorrow. I've been staring at this Iowa Nebraska. That really hasn't moved. The Arkansas Arizona game has moved a lot. It moved from like 9.5 to 7.5 now, which was pretty interesting. And this Houston game has moved from 2.5 to 3.5. So, but yeah, that's overall what I have. So I'm still looking at those.
Yeah, slightest of leans to the Wichita Tulsa game under 153.5. I think that there's value on that line. And you were talking about line movement in the Arkansas Arizona game. I really like Arizona here, -7.5. I think that's an excellent number.
Oh yeah, especially
Not
from 9.5 to 7.5. Yeah, that's a whole
Yeah,
possession.
I like Arkansas kind of, but I mean this Arizona team is just on another level. Although they are Arizona and our main man EC just seems to have like a face planting every single season with Arizona. But I think that if there's any year for them to get it done, it's this year.
Yeah, something I
I
will
do like
say.
that nice 7.5. Yeah,
Something
go.
I will say about this, if you're going, this is just my opinion to the listeners. If you're going to back the Arkansas side, right, just because I'm not saying Arkansas can't cover 7.5, right? If you didn't get the 9.5, I'd recommend just bet Arkansas money line, like sprinkle on it, or uh, you know, or don't bet the spread. Does that make sense? I recommend since that's 7.5 now, like bet their money line like 0.10 units or something rather than betting the 7.5 now because I think it's a little too late.
Also, something to keep in mind, live betting in college basketball is a lot of good opportunities. And when a favorite goes up early, the line moves quickly because the books want to basically protect themselves and prevent the public from just jumping on one side. So they'll usually move
Yes,
the leg way too far out. So yeah, I can very easily see this. They get out to an early start and then they just kind of coast, and then the game's actually a competitive game overall, which we do expect it to. But if
yes.
Arkansas goes down early, that could be a really great live
Because
opportunity.
Arizona is known, like Duke, to ease off the gas, and Arkansas is known to go down early as well. We saw it with their high point game, and stuff like that. So, yeah, Arkansas, like that's the Stern just said it, guys. Live betting. If you think you can get a better number, always do it. And if you worry that you won't get a better number, just still watch how the game's going, right? Because even if Arkansas does go up, like, say 10-0 in the beginning or something like that, hey, maybe since they're up 10-0, you can get their money line. The money line may be like plus 100 or something. So, yeah, just watch that to the viewers.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to big boy basketball, which I don't even necessarily agree with that statement. But yesterday, looking back, we didn't have the greatest day overall. Magic lost to the Pacers. That was astounding. Didn't no, I don't think anybody saw that coming. But you know what? I think Prince sees a good bounce back opportunity here, and he's going to take the +10.5. And he said, look, listen, it's just an embarrassing loss to the Pacers. They should have won that game. They didn't. But tonight, too many points, being the underdog to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, the Cavaliers are good. The line has moved too much, though, in the other way. And we've talked about this a lot. Cavs have some injuries down low, might have some trouble. Orlando also has their injuries, but they have a lot of people expected to be back today. Good value on the Magic to have a bounce back spot in official play, +10.5 at -105 for main man Prince. Yesterday, I personally went 1-1. My half a unit shot at +160 underdog juice on the New York Rangers didn't come through. Like I said, the number was on the play, not the game. The number was on the value of the play, not the actual outlook of who would probably win. But my Spurs -4.5, that sailed on by. Not even close. We said it. Phoenix is going to have trouble guarding Wemby. And well, I'm happy that I jumped on the number when I did. For tonight, Drew, do you have any thoughts, leanings, or picks?
Yeah, definitely. And also, that Pistons Lakers game was really good. Shout out to the Pistons.
Yes,
Yeah,
and we had that as well. All
yep.
three of us kind of were talking about the Pistons. We all played it. I ended up putting 0.75 units on it. Prince, I think, had a 1.5 unit play on it. I think you mentioned it on the podcast. And yeah, they were not just live underdogs, they were probably should have been favored in that game.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was a back and forth game because like the Lakers went up 7 early and then the Pistons went up 14, then the Lakers got a lead in the fourth and then the Pistons just closed it out. Great game. Um
Fantastic game.
oh yeah.
And yeah, happy that we were on the right side of that. But what do you have for today? There's only a 4 game slate.
Yeah.
You have the Kings, Hornets, Pelicans, Knicks, Magic, Cleveland, and Denver, Phoenix. Now, Phoenix is coming off a back-to-back facing Denver. I think that's a really tough spot for them. Cleveland should win it, but I do agree with Prince that the Magic getting 10 or 11 and a half is way too much. The Knicks should get it done against the Pelicans. And again, Charlotte should definitely get it done against the Kings. That's just a mismatch right there in schematics. But I'll get to my best play in a second. Why don't you give us what you got first?
I like Prince's play with the 10.5. I believe this is the fourth game between them two. Cavs lead at 2-1. The Magic won the last game between these two at their home. And I'm not saying the Magic will win, but I believe they'll keep it close because this is overall like not a great matchup for the Cavs. In my opinion, the something the Magic do really well is get to the line, and the Cavs do foul quite a bit. That's why the Magic usually do well against them. So I think the Magic are, even though they're on a back to back, I think they're going to look for a bounce back here. So I like the idea of them keeping it close, like Prince said. But when I look at like the other games, I don't really I don't really see much. I guess value in the other stuff I was looking at. It'll be a tough spot for the Suns, but you never know. You never know what you're going to get from them in that factor. I know it's 5.5, so that could be intriguing for the Nuggets, but I don't really have any official plays in the NBA.
Okay, yeah, cool. So I'm gonna take the Knicks against the Pelicans. I'm gonna bring that down to minus 2.5, and I'm gonna parlay that with Charlotte. What did I have it? Minus 7.5. So Knicks minus 2.5, Hornets minus 7.5. I got this for minus 133, which is very heavily juiced. Just small slate. Didn't want to really go for it, so to speak. But again, the Knicks are playing the Pelicans. They should be able to punish them down low with their size. Rebounding advantage is all on the Knicks side here. I think the Knicks are just going to control the game. And then the Hornets are playing a tanking Kings club that have looked better, actually, than their underlying metrics suggest. But the Hornets are playing some really good ball right now. I think this is a mismatch schematically against the Kings. I like both of these favorites to get it done on this very small slate. Do you have any thoughts on my play or anything else before we go on to the NHL?
Nope. Yeah. I'm definitely ready for the NHL big slate.
Yes, it is. It's a very comparison to the last night's 1 game slate. Just a reminder, Magic plus 10.5 was Prince's play. I think you can actually get this for plus 11.5 on ESPN if you have that now called the score. But yeah, let's get into the NHL. I went a little crazy today in the NHL. Usually I just pick my favorite play. I take what my model tells me, and then I research the top 3 or 4 plays to try to narrow it down to kind of see what I really like the most, taking into account my model, taking into account stats and underlying metrics, and kind of getting a more complete picture as early as I can. But today we have some plays. I'm going to go ahead and give out my first play here, and then I'll pass it to you, and then I'll give you all my half unit plays for plus money each.
Yeah, there's a.
First up,
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Oh, my bad. Oh, did you want me to go or?
Yeah, sure, go for it, man.
Oh, my bad. I didn't know what you were saying, but
It's
uh,
all good. I talk a lot.
there's a lot of good, like I would say, total goals opportunities here. I saw like a few that I like, or even like I saw like 3 or 4 that I like. But I'm gonna go probably with my favorite one. We have the Senators versus the Red Wings on a back to back. So Senators on a back to back, of course, but this game is huge for both teams because this is fighting for like the final 2 wild card spots, right? So I expect kind of like a playoff style kind of matchup because we're getting towards the end of the season. And so in the last 5 games the Red Wings have played, the under is 4-1. They're a solid defensive team as well, and the problem with them is they have not been good at scoring goals. And then the under in the Senators game have been 5-2 in the last 7 games, and then they have Olmark is supposed to get the start here. He's averaging only 2 goals against per game in his last 4 starts. So I kind of expect a low scoring game on this. I know there's some juice on the under 6.5, I believe. But I really like that a lot.
I don't mind that at all,
I think
actually.
it's under
I don't.
5.5 now. Let me double check. Let me see.
Yeah, there's a few games here that can
Oh, under
go
6.5 is
either
minus
side.
160. Now, I still even like them under 5.5 or plus 105, honestly. I think it'll be a low scoring game, like playoff style.
I think that you're right. As we're getting closer to the end of the season, teams are going to be buckling down, and we're going to see lower total scoring in general. I do. I think that's it's a really good look. People are figuring out their teams. The trade deadline's over. Like they're solidified. Their teams are going and competing and realizing that they can't just have shootouts and have kind of that variable in there. But I'm going to go to a heavy favorite here. Give me the Utah Mammoths. We bet on them last time. They're facing the Oilers, who have looked not themselves. Let's just put it politely. Since Leon Draisaitl was lost to injury, and again, we didn't win on them yesterday because we had the 60-minute money line. They kind of let up. They were leading with like 3 or 4 minutes left to go, and then they let off their foot off the gas. And I think it was the Kings scored against them late. They did win in overtime, but that didn't help me with my bet on the 60-minute money line. But give me the Utah Mammoths money line minus 134 on FanDuel. If you get this on the 60-minute money line, I don't mind it at all. I just got burned the other day, so I'm just going to take the juice. I just think that they're the better team here. They're playing better. The Oilers are just, again, defensively, they're allowing a lot of high danger shots, and that's not going to be good for winning a lot of games. And if you take a look at their last 5 games, they're giving up a ton of goals, like an embarrassing amount of goals for such a good team. They lost 5-2 to the Lightning. They lost 4-0 to Florida, and that's just their last 2 games. Granted, they still have talent, right? Any team with Connor on it is going to be able to score, but they just don't look like themselves, and I'm going to fade them until proven otherwise. And then we can just bet the overs like we were doing earlier this season. How do you like this play, man?
I
Got
like
any
it.
leans?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely like your play a lot with that. Yeah, I did have also another total I liked, but I liked your play, of course.
Yeah, what's your other total, man?
Oh yeah, so one I was looking now. I'm going to go to my Sharks here. Sharks, Predators. I believe over 6.5. I see on Fanatics is plus 100. I wasn't able to see what's on DK, but something I will say: Askarov is coming back after injury. He hasn't actually started since March 10th. And I think he's a good goalie, but he's going to have some rust. He has given up some goals his previous starts before he got hurt. I think one of the reasons why this total is low is because the Sharks have just scored a single goal over the last 2 games, but they did score 3 or more goals in 5 straight games prior to the recent dry spell. And I just believe that Macklin, Celebrini, and Co. can prove they can score goals. And lastly, the Predators' offense has been rolling. So I think this total is too low, especially with like a young Sharks team, that is hungry. They're on the road. And I can see this being a high scoring game personally because the Sharks won't let up even if they're down.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I do. I do see some value on that line. If you can get it at 5, obviously that's better, but that's heavily juiced. So 6 seems to be kind of the play. All right. I have 3 plus money plays here. All right. I'll start with the lowest one. That's going to be the Calgary Flames. They're playing the LA Kings. I have faded the Kings a lot lately, but that's really because all of the models that I'm using show them as highly overperforming their underlying metrics. And we've seen that over the last 10 games. They're experiencing a huge negative regression. And the opposite is true for the Flames, who have been kind of spearheaded by rookie Matvei Gridin and Morgan Frost. That is a very dangerous combination. And when you're looking at underdogs for who has a chance to have a good upset, the Flames have a very similar type playing of a goalie. Granted, the Kings have maybe the more experienced goalie, but if you're talking about talent and overall athletic ability, I think the Flames even have a slight advantage there. And what really pushed us over the edge is really my favorite metric to look at, which is how well do teams limit the opposing team's dangerous shots? And the Flames are doing a fantastic job at limiting that. Kings, on the other hand, are not doing a fantastic job. They're allowing a lot of dangerous shots in, which really puts a lot of stress on their goalie. So if I'm looking at a good underdog, I think the Flames are fantastic value at plus 130 for a half a unit. What do you think on this one?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that. And when it comes to the Flames, yeah, I like that a lot. Something I've also noticed with the Kings as well is they haven't really been scoring goals at a high clip either. Their offense has been great.
No, they have scored 3 goals, 1 goal, 3 goals, and they had 4-4. But they've lost the last 4 out of their 5, and their defense is not keeping it together. I don't really. They seem to come back late in the third period, so I don't like any 60-minute plays. But if you're getting value at plus 130 on the underdog, I think that's phenomenal value. And honestly, I like this as a play on its own, regardless of the model. All right, I got 2 other plus money plays. I'm going to work myself up. This one is a 2-leg money line parlay for plus 161, also a half a unit. And I'm going to take 2 heavy favorites. I'm going to take the Colorado Avalanche and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Again, these are 2 favorites coming off rested, motivated. Avalanche are ready for a negative regression ready Penguins team that has barely any shot suppression. Also, they're facing a team in the Avalanche that has a very strong control battle, right? They control the puck. I think it's like 70% of the time, which is just one of the best in the league. And then the other side, the Lightning, are operating at their peak offensive capabilities right now. And while the Wild can get feisty, they're not a bad team. I don't expect them to really get the win on against a very much better goalie in Andrei Vasilevsky. I think the Lightning should win this in 60 minutes. I think the Colorado Avalanche could win this in 60 minutes. I'm just going to skip that. I'm going to take the money line straight up. I'm just going to parlay them together for a half a unit at plus 161. I think that's tremendous value. Before I get to my last plus money play, which is even more plus money than this one, do you have any thoughts on those 2 games?
No, no thoughts on those games, but I like your play.
All right. And then we got the last play here. This is at plus 230. Now, I am building in a hedge. So if you're listening to this play, and I hope you are, not just reading the plays on the recap, which is also more than fine, but I'm going to take the New York Islanders first period / end of 60-minute money line. So they have to be winning at the end of the first period, and they have to be winning at the end of 60 minutes. But the payout is plus 230. And again, just a half a unit. We're playing the Blackhawks, and we faded the Blackhawks heavily. Why? Because in the first period, they're terrible. They allow some of the most goals in the league in the first period. They are allowing tons of highly dangerous shot opportunities for opponents, and we're getting the much better goalie in the Islanders, Sorokin. All right. So for plus money, I very much expect the Islanders to win early. They're really good at getting out to leads early in games. The Blackhawks are terrible in this exact same fashion, terrible at getting up early. They're usually losing at the end of first period. The problem with the Islanders here is that they do give up a lot of third period goals. They do. They're not. I think 1 in 5 goals that they score, they allow the opponent to score, which is just a terrible metric. But if they're winning, if the New York Islanders are winning after the first period at a plus 230 number, you will have an excellent hedge opportunity to just either double chance, or honestly, you could just pick you can pick the Blackhawks to win. And but I think that there's a lot of value on this number. But again, if you're not looking to hedge live, maybe I would stay away or put a quarter unit on this. I am playing this with the specific goal to hedge live. All right. Any thoughts on the Islanders here?
So you're doing Islanders first period and then winning the whole game, right?
Yes, and that is game props under DK in
Oh,
DK. I
okay.
think other books have it as well. I would look under game props or maybe game parlays. If you have to build it manually, it would be the first period minus a half on the spread parlayed with the 60-minute money line. Should come out to be about 250, 230. I found it last night at plus 230.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. No, I like that a lot. Actually, I'm going to I'm gonna combine my two bets, by the way. I found a good lay for it. Since there's just two bets I did, and there's some juice I don't like, some I don't like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Sharks, Predators over 5.5, which is -160, paired with Senators Red Wings under 8.5 at -630. If you combine both of them, combine both of them, it's -114.
Oh, I can dig it. That's
Yeah.
cool.
I'd
That's
rather do
groovy,
that than take
baby.
the under 5.5, and then the +105 and over 6.5 at +100. I feel like it's better to combine them both. And they
Yeah,
give the bigger juice to the one that I'm slightly less. I'm confident in both of them, but I'd rather give the bigger juice to the under one.
I think
Yeah.
that's an excellent look. Definitely send me that as a part of your recap, and so I can remember to bet it
Yeah,
and
for
that we can
sure.
get it out on the recap screen. All
Sounds
right.
good.
Anything else in the NHL, NBA, NCAA, or anything else that you want to get to before we head into MLB futures, which was really my highlighted segment for the day anyway?
Nope, I'm ready for MLB.
All right, yeah. All right. If you didn't listen to yesterday's show, I didn't put it on the recap screen. Just to recap, I took a few player props here. Strikeout leader Hunter Brown at +4,000. I thought that there was value there, assuming that Scooble and Skeens don't take this by a mile. Stolen base leader Chandler Simpson +450. We talked about it yesterday. This guy is just a freak of nature with his speed. He's going to be playing a full season in just 109 games. He stole 44 bases and tied for second in the league, which is just incredible. And then last but not least, Tariq Skubal, AL Cy Young Award. I got this at +350. I would not play this at the current number at +250. If you can get this at +300 or better, I'm in. Under 300, I don't see value on the number. If it does drop to under 300, I would actually pivot to Garrett Crochet. I think that Garrett Crochet is probably his main competitor for this award, assuming that everybody stays healthy. But yeah, the Tariq Skubal number +350 is definitely a play. Otherwise, I would pivot to Garrett Crochet. For today, I am taking two gross numbers. I love doing this. I love doing this. This is called fading the public. All right. I'm very interested to hear your thoughts. I'm going to take the Rockies regular season wins over 54.5. And again, I said this was gross, but you can get this at -115. I put a half a unit on it. Um, this is just a gross low total, even for Colorado. The math needed for them to win to go under this number is a little bit nuts for a big league team. And again, we've talked about it before. Teams are going to regress to the mean positively or negatively. I find it hard to believe that they're going to have another historically bad season like last year. They're adding Lorenzen, which is going to be a nice touch to eat up innings on their starting rotation. And that's honestly been their biggest problem is their starting pitcher gets tired in the most friendly hitting environment in all of baseball. And then their bullpen just can't handle it. I mean, you can't handle 5 full innings every single game when your starters can't get through the first 4 or 5 innings. It's a losing situation. Not only that, but they have some really good young hitters that impressed me last year, and I think they impressed a lot of people when they upset the Yankees and the Dodgers. And again, they did lose 20 something to maybe 7 something for most of those games, but they did win a few games in those series. All they need to do is pick off a game here, pick off a game there, and they should be able to hit this. My model says that they should be winning at least 62 or 63 games in the season, giving me 55, a very, very solid EV play here. Will they be good? No, the Rockies are not going to be good. Do not misconstrue my words. But can they get this past this very, very low bar? Yeah, I think they can. If you're talking about a team, I think I saw this the other day. If you're talking about a team that is playing just secondary players, right? Let's say a minor league team, their base would be about 44 wins. This is a big league team. They're not a good big league team, but they should be able to hit 55 wins. What do you think about this very gross play?
So the problem, I will say, is the division they're in, and that's one of the biggest problems. That's why, of course, the Giants, I think, are going to be a pretty good team. What they have, the problem is they're projected to finish third because of the Dodgers and Padres in that regards. And something I will say, the thing is, I think the Rockies are better than what people give them credit for. The problem is when they play the division teams, they get destroyed by them. I think the Giants won 11 of the 13 matchups between them, and that alone is 11 losses on their board right there. So their biggest problem is how much they struggle against their division opponents. I will say, especially like the Diamondbacks, the Padres, the Giants, and the Dodgers. So they're going to have to take advantage of their non-division games and take advantage of Coors Field. It's kind of funny. I think they were like worse at Coors Field last year for pitching wise, and their pitching was much better away, which makes sense because of Coors Field. So it's going to be interesting to see. I would look, of course, for live hedges, especially if they start off hot too, as well. But I can see it happening if they're able to pick off more wins than they usually do against their division.
Yeah, my goal, and if you bet MLB with me last year, I had my fade list, and I would just bet against them pretty much every single game, and we did really well for most of the season. So my goal is to bet them on the over at the beginning of the season, and then bet them every single game during the season under. That's kind of my goal and strategy for going forward. The other gross play that I'm going to be going with here, and this, I know I might get some flack for this, but I'm going Dodgers regular season wins under 103 and a half unit on FanDuel. Again, this is the other side of gross. And this is probably going to be sweaty because the Dodgers are going to win at least 95 games. But the days of 100 plus wins might be behind us with the introduction of load management. And that's the simple fact of how the Dodgers are playing. And they're playing to protect their all-stars so that they're at peak condition in October, which also coincidentally made for a great division race late last season against the Padres. That was awesome. But it's just symptomatic of how they play and how their load management works. 104 wins in a season is a very tall task. Some of the best teams in baseball over the last 100 years have struggled with 104 wins. This is just, again, I think that the number has been pushed too far based on public perception. I think 104 win season is just really too much. This will get sweaty. They're going to win 90, 95 games, almost guaranteed. But give me the under 104, 103 and a half on FanDuel. How do you feel about this one? This one's a little bit sketchier, I think.
Oh, I love
in
this
terms
one.
of the number, but
Oh, no, I love this one
it's
a lot, personally. The Dodgers are a team that they love to work their starting pitchers, no matter what, like until like the brink because their bullpen isn't as great. I'm gonna be interested because I know they did that a lot this past year. And it was towards like the end half of the year. They didn't begin the year with, of course, Yamamoto. So I know that's what Dave Roberts likes to do. But last year they only had 93 wins. I don't understand this 11-point jump when their division actually got stronger, especially what the Giants did. I know the Padres lost Luis Ariz, but they've gotten some, like some things done. And also the NL got a little stronger too as well. Like I know the Mets lost Pete Alonso, but they also got Freddie Peralta. They also got Bo Bichette. The Phillies are keeping basically their roster. Their roster is really good. So I don't
Braves
understand
might be
this.
back.
Yeah, exactly. I don't understand this 103 and a half. Like I like that
No,
under. I'm not
it's a
just being a
stupid
hater, but
number.
it's stupid when the last time they actually got over 104 wins was 2022. So yeah,
Yeah, yep. You just
and their
really,
bullpen was much better then.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. I just thought that this number was way too high. And when I see the public betting on one side artificially inflating, I have to take a look at the other side, no matter how gross it is, which led me to betting on the best team under and the worst team over. But that's how it works in baseball. Any betting, honestly. All right. Do you have any preseason looks or anything you want to get to before we head on out of here for the day?
Yeah, definitely. And I do. I've been looking at some play routes that I may call out for tomorrow too that are up actually. So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, first I'll go to that. So I know there's certain playouts that are like actually up. The ones for tomorrow necessarily up for me, but for Thursday I was looking at. By the way, guys, I love player outs to all the listeners. I like doing research because something you remember: some starters are like limited because of they're trying to get ramped up. So sometimes you'll notice like outs will be too high, and we'll do better with player outs as we see how these teams manage them. The best you can go based off last season, how they did against certain teams. So one I was looking at was Jose Seriano right now is at like 13 and a half total outs. He opened at 14, as under 14 and a half, was minus 105, then it moved to 13 and a half at plus 100. By the way, what you want to look at is inning keys. So guys, 12 and a half means if the over hits for 12 and a half, it means he has to pitch at least one out in the fifth inning. So that's 4.1 innings. 13 and a half means he has to pitch 4.2. So I was leaning the under, and I see a lot of people hitting the under. But then I checked Jose Seriano's starts last year. He was a very shaky pitcher, but the two starts he pitched against the Astros last year, he had 7 innings pitched, one hit innings, and then he had 6.2 innings pitched with 8 Ks. So I'm going to see if people keep betting this under because I'm leaning towards the over in that. So before my future, what do you think of that?
I don't mind it. I have to look into the data a little bit more, but I don't mind it.
Yeah, when I was going through my model and stuff, I showed like the starts and stuff like that, and they were like, "Oh yeah, definitely an under." And then I showed the starts against to my model, like the Astros, and how he's done in spring training. Like he's had 5 scores in spring training, he's been ramped up, and they were like, "Okay, then in that case, it seems like and I showed the Astros roster, and Astros are going to be missing Jeremy Pena to start the season, which is huge, by the way, guys. Carlos Correa is playing, but yeah, that's my take on that. And you may not like this one, Stern. I'm sorry, but I have a future MVP, AL MVP odds. Of course, Judge is not good value at plus 185 for AL MVP, but I have a sleeper one. Um, Sorry about this, but I like at plus 1600 Roman Anthony for a sleeper. I think he's a very young, talented player. It's his second year. We've seen second year players, vault. And you can tell it was killing him when he was hurt. And then we saw him shine in the World Baseball Classic. I just think that the Red Sox go as he goes, and he completes their lineup. Personally, we saw how much they're missing them in the playoffs. This guy can hit, he can field, he can hit for contact, hit for power. He has good speed. And I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a bigger name for himself than he already has.
Hey, I don't mind that at all, actually. No apologies necessary. Listen, I only bet the low numbers if I really think there's value on the number. There is no value on the plus 250 that I see for
Yeah.
Aaron
Oh, I
Judge.
was thinking because he's a Red Sox.
Yeah, that does sting a little bit, but you know what? I don't disagree with the math. And you can get this at plus 2,000 over on FanDuel. So I would cash out that 1,600 ticket and go to FanDuel and bet that right now.
Definitely.
The other AL East person, funny enough, that I'm looking for a potential MVP pick. And again, I'm not betting any of this. Maybe I'll put $1 just to track it. But Gunnar Henderson offers a little bit of value here. Very similar to Roman Anthony, integral part of the team, getting better, working on their swings. A lot of good stuff coming for these young guys right here. So
The
I
list
don't
is
mind that
stacked.
either.
You have Junior. Oh, yeah, that was another thing I was going to mention is if you didn't listen to the show yesterday, guys, I did mention a sleeper home run leader pick in Junior Caminero. I forgot what his odds were. I think they're like plus 2,500. But yeah, that was one I said. I thought I'd remind the viewers.
Yeah, definitely also a good look here. All right. Anything else before we recap our best bets and get on out of here?
Nope, but I'm looking forward to talking about Giants, Yankees tomorrow. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm very excited to dive into it. Hopefully my model, like it was last year, is ready. I am switching sources from scraping to APIs. If you guys don't know what that is, don't worry about it, but it's more complicated and much more consistent. So anyway, all right, recap us your best bets. Real quick, let me give Prince's out before I forget. Magic plus 10.5 minus 105 on DK. You can get this at plus 11.5 right now at minus 115. We both agree on that play. I think it's too many points against the Cavs. Give me your best plays, bro.
yeah, definitely. My best bet is a combination. I believe I sent it to you as well between the Predators and Sharks over 5.5, paired with the Senators and Red Wings under 8.5, and get that for around minus 110, minus 114. Of course, I will have more best bets once we get closer back to college basketball and baseball. This is just kind of one of those lull times where I want to make sure I preserve my money for the upcoming stuff that's coming up.
I, on the other hand, am going a little bit crazy, but one full unit play here on the NBA. I'm going to take the New York Knicks -2.5 plus the Hornets plus -7.5 at -133 over on FanDuel. I also talked about putting a half a unit on St. Joe's plus 11.5 and Arizona -7.5. I like both of those plays quite a bit. Those are going to be official half unit plays. In the MLB regular season win totals, I have the over 54.5 for the Rockies, under 103.5 for the Dodgers. And again, I guess I'll just recap. Hunter Brown, strikeout leader, plus 4,000. Chandler Simpson, stolen base leader, plus 450. And then AL Cy Young winner, Tariq Skubal for plus 350. And then we get into the NHL where we're really starting to groove. Utah Mammoths money line -134, full unit. And then all these plus money plays for a half unit each. Two-leg money line parlay plus 161 on the Avalanche and Lightning. An underdog play, Calgary Flames money line plus 130. And then again, a New York Islander first period / end of 60-minute play at plus 230. Thank you guys so much for listening. This was a really fun show. I am so looking forward to baseball being back. We had some new listeners. Thank you guys for listening. Just a reminder, we do publish the podcast on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, anywhere you can get your podcasts. We also will be having a special show tonight, previewing the World Cup with our main man, PrinceOfPicks. We are also potentially looking at adding a night show at 9:30. So stay tuned for some exciting news. Thank you guys so much again. Please like and subscribe. That sounds corny, but thank you for listening and have a wonderful day.